I guess I would describe the whole space as quite eclectic, maybe mixed with a bit of Scandinavian style and sort of mid-century modern. About an 1,800 square foot townhome. It's in a sort of a condo complex. It's mostly artists and designers, and all the layouts are unique. It looks very unassuming from the outside. Like when you walk in, everything opens up. The light penetrates down 2 levels through skylights and sort of makes it feel enclosed, but also well lit and comforting. All the rooms basically have 12-foot ceilings or higher, and it has 24-foot floor-to-ceiling open middle section that, reminds me of a bit of a Moroccan riad. It's very much a live-work studio, an atelier, not necessarily in traditional sense with living above and work below. It's sort of more living and working everywhere. My name's Alex Jowett. I am an artist and a photographer and designer. I live in the West End of Toronto with my daughter India and my cat Asha. During the day on the upper level, I have my art studio and I'm able to do my paintings. But I also sell vintage Moroccan rugs and antique rugs and some collectible furniture and textiles. Quite often designers bring their clients here to get pieces. For years, I was a water sports photographer and travel photographer. So I wrote for magazines and I lived all over the world. And that's part of the eclectic nature of the place, is I collected pieces from everywhere. And through historical family homes, things were always passed on, and I find it hard to throw things out. So everything sort of gets built up within the place. This is my living room. Most of the furniture pieces in the room are mid-century modern pieces. Like I actually have this Eames chair that I got from my dad. I also got these pieces, which are actually Paul Tuttle rocking chairs. He was an American designer who worked in Scandinavia, so they have a sort of a mixed design, like a sleek aesthetic, but they also have that rocking chair, cozy feel. Maybe the most comfortable chairs I've ever sat in. Another piece that I actually had made, this is a Moroccan poof, but it's made from very thick cow leather, and I have like a high density foam in it, so it's not the usual. It's actually really light, but it works as a coffee table, as a stool, as a multitude of things. Got a nice green sofa, just a very simple piece that is a bit of contrast. Another piece that is really one of my favorites, H. Brockman Peterson. It's a hunting chair that he did. I found it at auction and it went for a quite low price, and I just had to do a little bit of restoration. This one's pretty much a museum quality piece. And all of the furniture, like these chairs, the hunting chair was designed to be very low. People tend to get lower and sink in. They feel like cozy and they feel relaxed, because that's, I think, one of the main things a living room should do. I love these Benny Warren rugs that are really cozy and quite neutral. But quite often around Christmas time, one of my favorite things is to get out the more colorful Beniam Guild rugs, which have really rich, deep tones. It's surprising how much a rug can change the feel of a room. When designers or different clients come in, I can pull out rugs from all over the place and they can see them and sort of feel how they might be in their own home. It's not like a traditional storefront by any means, and people have a sort of more closer connection and they can hear the stories about the rugs or about the textiles. When I first moved into this place and I saw all these built-ins, and I knew immediately what I wanted to do with them because I had already collected lots of pieces. Like I have a book collection that I've been working on for years that's a mix of art and design. This little guy is a Ross Bonfanti art piece, and he's actually looks like a fuzzy, stuffy koala, but he's made from concrete. I really like the contrast of new and old and primitive and modern. carvings in wood, and then the metal and brass sculptures. And so even just a matter of elements and how they play off each other. People wonder why I have a large, almost 12-foot white wall that's uncovered. This room doubles as a home theater. My daughter and I especially, we watch movies, and I have an HD projector and a whole surround sound system. The kitchen has somewhat of a, maybe like an 80s French country kitchen kind of feel to it. It tends to be a bit of a messy place. It's always got bread on the go, and it always feels like a bit of a country kitchen as opposed to like a fancy Toronto kitchen with lots of marble and stuff like that. Like, I like it that it has more of a organic feel to it. In the kitchen, I also have pieces that we collected over the years. Things that I might not think of as like design items. In particular, there's this car collection of the models of yesteryear, which my dad was very adamant about collecting for my brother and I. I never thought I would actually allow any like family photos or cards on my fridge. My ideal is like a clean Smeg fridge that has style and design to it, but she loves to draw cards for me. The wall next to my dining table goes up about 24 feet, and there's skylights above. So even though it's a lower level, there's always light. It always feels open. That's that Moroccan riad sort of feel. A lot of times people dine in the riads in the lower section, which was open quite often to the sky. That's why I put my dining table there, an old wood table from India. In Morocco, you see a lot of pieces like that, and they're really kind of rustic, but I like texture and patina and that kind of thing. Underneath it, I have one of my Beniam Guild rugs that would have been made in the 1920s or 30s. They're actually double-sided. The side that's up now shows all the pattern and the detail. Another piece that's quite special to me is an 8-foot tall piece by the artist Nancy Zabok, who was actually a student of my father's when he was a visual arts director at Sheridan College in Ontario. That has this sort of primitivism. It's a mix of metal and wood. I've actually leaned a small vintage javelin next to it in a kind of play on a sort of female warrior idea. My dad had other pieces that were more valuable, but this piece was my favorite, and it's a piece I hope my daughter keeps and carries on. People sometimes wonder why I have rings in the middle of my walkway, but I put them in as a bit of exercise for myself. But they ended up being a play feature for my daughters, and they're used almost daily by my daughter and almost never by myself. This is my art studio. Every day I'm in here and working on new pieces. Like, this is a suite that will eventually be about 12 pieces. I have one of my art pieces in progress on the ground. I have a jute rug that's sort of a cheap one, something more aesthetic than a drop sheet. I keep a lot of my paints on this bar cart that I can roll around if I need to. This odd contraption is actually a rolling table that I find quite useful, because when I paint my pieces, I can do the big ones upright, then drop them down, so it works great in that sense. So even though my studio is quite small and cluttered, every piece that's in here has a function to it. So this is a piece I did many years ago, and it was just special to me, and I made a piece in the same size and style that was complementary to it, and my daughter's mother has it. My idea is that one day my daughter will have her own place, and she'll be able to bring both pieces and hopefully hang them together or in a room together someday. Up on the wall, I have this textile, which is a Miao batik, which is done as a wax resist. So all the detail in white was actually done with little bits of wax, which soak into the cloth, and then they're dip dyed in indigo, and then the wax is later washed off to show the white cotton underneath. I just love the indigo dyeing and the process that goes into them, so I bought that piece at auction, and I have a Japanese kimono which was done in a similar style on the lower level. This piece is one in my studio that I've done other ones where they all have a slightly different palette, but they're all of the same thing. They follow from the horizon line drawings. They're basically more desert abstracts. I have a Juliet balcony, so when I want some air or some extra light, I open it up. And I also, with all the rugs and different textiles, I can hang them out the window so they get some sun. It's a great extra added bonus to my studio. In my main sort of open area above my dining table, I have a group of textile flags, which are Asafo flags from Ghana, and all of them date from about the late 1800s to mid 1950s. And they were built by militia groups that were sort of creating their own coalitions that sort of defended against colonial interests, like the Dutch and the British in the Gold Coast and Ghana at that time. And they tell proverbs. They each tell a very unique story, and they're all done in, very interesting and sort of beautiful ways. And I just find these flags in particular to be quite, intriguing and sort of addictive pieces. Once you get one, you want another one and you want to learn more about them. And for me, a big part of all the things that I collect is the research. There's much deeper stories that are really interesting to learn about. So it's not just pretty pictures on a wall. Many years ago, I did a whole artsy series under a nom de plume, or a fake name. Antoine Jouet was the artist, and they were all very tongue-in-cheek. This was one that I kept because I like it. I've taken selfie photos with my daughter, and adds another layer to the whole idea of I see so much myself in you. This is my bedroom, which further to my whole live-work lifestyle is open to the rest of the loft, and I have my studio across the way. I wake up with the morning light coming through the skylights, so I rarely ever sleep in. I used to live in a loft, so I'm used to wide open spaces, and I quite like that feeling. My daughter is only with me half the time, so she has her own room where the door shuts. She did a painting at school years ago that was her name, so we put it on her door. I wanted to let her have her say, but I also have a few art pieces. Like I have a lovely Winnie Trong drawing. I also have a Bobby Matheson piece of my old teddy bear when I was a child, who's a Toronto painter. Really great, he's a good friend. I also did an oil stick drawing of a palm tree on leather. I also have a small Moroccan rug that has a very almost childlike drawing feel to it. In my bedroom, I also have a mix of pieces that I've collected of art, pieces of art that I've done, even some furniture and rugs rolled up in here because there's rugs all over my place. This Asafo flag, which was the first one I bought. It's about a 1920s, 1930s era. In the morning when the light hits it, all the texture of the damask cloth, a lot of the details and the really delicate cloth come out. These two pieces are Bobby Matheson. He actually did this one for me, which is Stephen Zissou. I love Wes Anderson, and The Life Aquatic was one of my favorite movies, but I also love like that organic painted on impasto style. So I think those kind of play well with this Nobuyoshi Araki photograph, and Araki is a famous Japanese photographer. My first photo series when I came back to Toronto, it was all my photographs from around the world, and I had painted on top of them. I was definitely influenced by artists like Araki and Peter Beard. My style shifted more towards painting and drawing and more minimal pieces, like these very simple paintings of bears mostly. It's something that I thought would just be fun and my daughter would enjoy. I have paddles in the room. I used to do a lot of the paddle collection for the Hudson Bay Company. So I have a collection of paddles that are mostly like utilitarian from all over the world. But this one in particular, my brother brought back from me from Madagascar when he was there. And then my piece here, this is called Into Night. So it's very simple, dense line drawings, but they are, an abstraction of the sea and sky. I kind of love this alpaca rug by Blacksaw Companies. It's made from recycled alpaca, so it's actually super warm, and I like the recycling aspect. They're friends of mine, and we've traded pieces. I just love having things like that like friends have done, and there's a connection with all the pieces. I like art and things reacting with the space they're in. Things just kind of work together if you think about them a little bit, and some people may think they're clashing or cluttered, but each piece can tell a story that leads into another one. And I'm very much not of the precious aesthetic that likes to have my sofa matching my art on the wall and that kind of thing. I like contrast, and I like color, and I like a mix, and I like story. Lots of friends that come by and say, oh, I've never noticed that before, and sometimes because it wasn't there, other times just because there's so much to see in every little corner that you just don't notice things. Even for me, I sometimes forget I have things here. With design and collecting, a room will probably never feel perfect. Your taste will evolve, and you can always change things around, add to it, pull away. Makes it more interesting because you are allowing yourself latitude to enjoy your own design.